Swim Things in Blue Springs, your one-stop shop for all things swim. Pools, spas, patio furniture, swimwear, and accessories. Visit them in Blue Springs or at www.swimthings.com.
You know, even when people would kind of highlight odd things about my body or ways that I move, I would just, sweep it under the rug. And it served me a lot for a long time. I think even just like growing up as a Black person in America, like there are certain strengths and there's certain toughness that you have to generate, I think, just to like survive and operate effectively on a day-to-day basis. But at a certain point, it comes to where like, well, how tough did I get in order to survive? And do I still need to be that tough now?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Our guest today might be representing the United States of America at the 2021 Paralympics and would make some history at those games if he actually follows through with that. Jamal Hill grew up swimming in Southern California with dreams of becoming an Olympian and never let his affliction with a genetic disorder stop him from that dream. And as one of the fastest swimmers in the world, Jamal might not just earn a spot at the Paralympics, but also come home with a medal or two. And it's our pleasure to welcome Jamal Hill to the show. Jamal, it's good to see you. How are you today?
Oh, pleasure to be here. I'm doing really, really well. It is a fine Monday morning here in Southern California for me. So just ready to kick the week off strong. This is a great way to start it, man. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah, what better way to kick off the week than a great interview on the journey?
Amen to that. Amen to that.
All right, so we're talking to you about 4 or 5 months after the 2020 Paralympics was supposed to take place, and now it's scheduled for summer 2021. How did the announcement of the delay of the Paralympics affect you when you heard about it?
Great question. Initially, to be honest with you, initially it never really hit me all that tough. The main reason is just because I've only still been swimming year round now, like really year round, for about, and I don't even know if you can count this year because 2020. So prior to 2020, 3 years, so 3 years of just like really being in the pool in a training environment, for as close to 12 months out the year as you can, which is most athletes and I think like working people's average, like usually you do your job year round all the time, So uh to come close to Tokyo and obviously like to be able to go into trials and things like that, you're only ever going to be able to do the best you can do. And I like to think that I'm really good at like performing really well when there's like a really big stage, really big pressure. That's definitely in my resume. You can see that. But on just like a real note, on a very humble note, like this time is a blessing for me. It's a blessing for my team. It's a blessing for my coach. It gives us more time to develop. And honestly, it's not like this, the first time the Olympics, Paralympics have been canceled in the history of the games, right? Like not some countries boycotting. So even just to understand that this is something that's happened for the health and safety of all athletes and the health and safety of their families and the world at large. It's just kind of like again, for me, it's a blessing. I'm like, all right, more training time. Everyone's gonna get to stay safe. Hopefully, it happens next year. But I mean, and I say this again with humility. If not, no big deal. Just because like I love to swim, but it's not like what defines me. It's not like what I gauge my life worth or my mass of my success from. So I hope that answered
Yeah,
it.
that's a very interesting perspective, and everybody has a different perspective on it. And that's actually, what a lot of people say is you have to roll with it. There's nothing you can't control it. You just have to keep going with it and do the best you can.
Just keep going with it. Keep going with my prayers up though for the athletes who felt like this was their last year, this was their last leg. I'm sending you strength. Just hold on, hopefully for one more if you can. Come back for one last hurrah.
Yeah. So qualifying for the Paralympics is not the same as qualifying for the US Olympic Swim Team. It's not just as simple as going to a meet and you place in the top two and you go. So what
No, sir.
specifically do you have to do to earn a spot on the US Paralympic Swim Team?
That's a real great question. So, number one thing that is similar to, in some way similar to just not regular trials, but Olympic trials, is if you're top 10 in the world, that's going to put you in a really, really good position to automatically just be inducted into the team. So that's a big one right there. And then, to be honest with you, the best way that you have a chance at making the team for the Paralympics is to be the top 10 in the world. Like you can go to trials. You can, even right now, like I'm ranked number one in the US in two events and working on number three, but that is not a guarantee or a shoe in by any means. The team is, and I respect it, the team is not taking anyone that they honestly don't think has a chance at least making finals at the games. So pretty much just got to be fast at this point in time. That's like got to
Well,
be fast on the global scale, not just
well,
in the
you kind of
local.
have that because you are ranked in the top 10 in the world in your events right now, aren't you?
That is true. That is true. I am ranked in the top 10 in the world. I think I'm number 7 in the 50-meter freestyle, and in the 100 free. I don't think I'm still top 10. Closer, but not top 10, which is again a great thing. And I have no shame about it. But mind you, I was ranked top 10 in this 2020 year, where there have been maybe literally a handful of competitions around the world. So it hasn't allowed, obviously the entire field of play to put up their times. And, I think just ultimately, like, sports are fair, like races are races, sports are fair, especially in the 50-meter, like it's a real crapshoot. So it's just one of those. I'm confident. We train really hard. And I mean, like, success is success of the past. You can always hold that up and be like, this was great. But there's really no telling. I still have a lot of room to improve, a lot of time to drop for myself to even be competitive for a podium spot. And I can say that hindsight 2020 this year, giving no telling when the magic comes out what'll happen. But um, I didn't have the best chance at making a podium if I'd made it to Tokyo this year. Like it would have been amazing to even make a team. But I may not have made the podium, depending upon how I perform, depending upon how the competition performs. So I'm just hoping that this next year, as I've gotten better, as we've taken this time to grow and to learn and to redevelop and to replan and to just do things that come with time. It shows up, and I reap some benefits in making a team and hopefully making a podium. But I mean, Jeff, you know how it goes, man. Like you can come and you can talk all that head, like, oh, I'm gonna get this, man. I'm gonna get that, man. Like, and it's great because sometimes it happens, but also like you just know how it goes. Like any given day, any given day, it could be your day, and it could not be your day, and that's kind of what we try and plan around and plan for, right?
Yeah, that's the fun part and the agonizing part of being an athlete. So how
Exactly
many
right.
events do you plan to swim in Tokyo?
I'm planning to swim the 50 free. I'm planning to swim the 100 free. We got 100 backstroke in my back pocket. We'll see. We'll see where it gets in this new year. But it's definitely been a consistent part of the training. And then in Lima, Peru, so that's 3 individual events. And then in Lima, Peru, I was a part of the first US Paralympic swimming men's relay team to ever earn an international medal. So as long as I'm in a real good position for my freestyle, we literally have the best Paralympic backstroker in the world on Team USA and Robert Griswold. We got some pretty strong butterflies, some pretty strong breaststrokers. Hopefully, we can put together, 2 relays, an intermedley multi-class relay and a freestyle multi-class relay. So that hopefully that'll give me 5 shots. Like that's definitely that's what I'm planning on. To have 5 shots, and whatever shots I do end up getting, those are the ones that will be earned. So that's it. Yeah, looking for 5 races
I think it's important that our viewers understand the particular type of affliction that qualifies you as a disabled swimmer.
for
So, what
sure, for
is
sure.
Charcot-Marie Tooth disease, and when did you know you had it?
Absolutely, that is a great question. If I may, just real quick, I'm gonna jump into that because you hit a nail on the head there, right? The Paralympics and the Special Olympics and the Olympics are like, well, Olympics and Paralympics are a part of one brand, right? And then the Special Olympics is a part of its own brand. They're all like very important. They're all very necessary. They all serve great purposes, but just for delineation purposes, is like the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and then it's like the Special Olympics, amazing company with super great branding that makes everyone think that the Paralympics is a part of it, but it's
Right.
not. But yeah, my neuropathy. So I have Charcot-Marie Tooth. It's a type of neuropathy, and essentially, again, just layman terms, what neuropathy is: nerves, right? So our bodies are these electrical beings, and our brain communicates with the rest of our bodies through electric signals. So when an individual has neuropathy, no matter how severe or how specific it is at some base level, those electric signals are not being conducted well through the body. So like the brain can send a signal, but it doesn't get to the place it needs to go because there's like a line's been cut or frayed or something like that. So for me, with Charcot-Marie Tooth, that affects my peripheral nerves. So pretty much the area from my kneecap down to the sole of my feet, I have 0% nerve conductivity. Okay, so what that is like is um, I kind of been using the language lately, like imagine a double above knee amputee with prosthetics. Only like my prosthetics are flesh and bone. That's pretty much how it is. So like if you kick me or something, I'll feel that. But the same way that like the person with prosthetics can't wiggle that toe, and like the same way they'll go to jump and those calf muscles don't contract and they're really just kind of jumping off their thighs. That's my experience. So like when the doctor hits your knee with the hammer and the knee flies out, that doesn't happen to me. Obviously, being a part of the Paralympics, you have to go through tests and things like that just to make sure that you're not cheating or whatever. Very necessary. So like they'll stick me with electronodes. It sounds terrifying, but they'll like stick me with electronodes and things like that, and I just won't feel anything because there's no conductivity in that part of my body. And then from my elbow to my fingertip, I have 30% nerve conductivity. So pretty much what that looks like, again, it's going to be like impaired muscle growth. I trip a lot. I drop my cell phone in cups of water a lot. Um, what else? Like, I don't know. The videos that you see on Instagram are the best video. They are the ones that's the shot that like this one looks real, real good. But there are definitely other ones. I turn my ankles a lot. Actually, my ankles are low key invincible now because like I've turned them so many times in the past decade that they're kind of like Gumby now. But I could go on and on. That's pretty much it. That's enough like to get people's mind around this. So just think about a double above knee amputee, except my prosthetics are again flesh and bone, and they're just kind of there. They're hanging out. And as long as things are going good, that's as bad as it gets. But if things become inflamed or I don't pretend to, be a doctor in neuropathy or anything like that. But in terms of experience, if there can be a negative shift in weather, if I can gain too much stress, so many factors play into this. That can grow into like temporary paralysis throughout my whole body, which is actually how I found out that I had Charcot-Marie Tooth when I was 10. At Thanksgiving, my whole body just went limp, and it kind of stayed that way for a few days. Ended up spending a few weeks in Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, and that's really, surprise. Like that was the gift. That's how I found out.
How did you accept the diagnosis, especially at 10 years old?
For sure. That's a good question. I think part of it was accepting it in the terms of like I didn't really know what it was. Um, so the doctors told my parents, but and I think this is like anyone in anyone with a family member who has like some type of developmental disability or just even physical disability needs can relate to this. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Western medicine and doctors like they have a place in this world and they do a lot of good. But when you go to doctors, a lot of times they're literally practicing medicine. Like a lot of this stuff, like they're kind of finding out, like, oh, I read about something similar in medical school, but I also read about 10 other similar things. So, like, let's get to the bottom of this. And you can very easily become an experiment. You know what I'm saying? It's not like malice or anything like that, but my parents didn't want that to happen to me. Like they kind of knew what was going on, but it was a whole lot that they didn't understand and still don't understand, which is why there is no cure for, Charcot-Marie-Tooth. But my parents just really didn't want me to be put into a box. And the older I get, like I understand just how strong a mental box can be for everything else. And they didn't want me to get trapped into this mental box of what's possible for me because the doctor said so, what's possible for me because the internet said so, what's possible for me because of what other people dealing with this disease say is possible. And so even though I felt all this happening, right, I know that this doesn't work now, this doesn't work now. Um, it was just never something we talked about. They were pretty much just like, don't worry about it. They were pretty much, like, in some ways, like, just don't worry about it. And so, yeah, we never really had a conversation about, like, this is what happened to you. It was just like, that was it, that was it. And I mean, like, again, obviously, I knew that things had happened to me. And then, like, now I'm back in the world. I can't swim anymore just because it had gave me complications of swimmer's shoulder and dislocated shoulders. So I had to stop swimming at the age of 10 from 10 to 16, didn't swim at all, right? Most people would say those are the formative years. And now it's like, I'm the only one that didn't get burnt out, so I'm fresh, ready to rock. But, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, that's pretty much it. They didn't tell me. And even though I knew, we never talked about it. And when I would come home from school and I'd be like, man, I can't do this or I should be able to do that. And if anyone has seen me, like, there's also that element where I don't really fit into the stigma of what disability looks like. Like I'm this unseen disability. So, you know, number one, I automatically like was kind of graced a little bit of secrecy, but then I also take it to the next level. And I hid it. Like for a long time, it was something that I saw as a weakness, right? Like not being able to always tripping and falling. That's embarrassing, right? Childhood is embarrassing enough. Like having super skinny legs, not being able to wear shorts without drawing attention to your legs, like come on, nobody wants you know what I'm saying? Like it's hard enough. I was already like an awkward looking kid, but I think I thought so at least. So it was tough, man. But I just never told anyone, and when things would be hard, I would come home. I'd be like, man, there's no way this kid should be able to do that, and I can't do that. And if there was ever a life lesson, this is it. My parents would say, look, however hard it is now, or however good you are right now, as long as you keep practicing, 100% guarantee you will be better than you are currently. And that is, I think that's one of those undeniable universal truths. Like, no telling if you'll go pro. No telling if you'll be the best in the class. No telling if, no telling any of that stuff. No telling if you'll be the GOAT. That's for the people to decide. But like, if you keep practicing, you guaranteed will be better than you are right now. And just kind of with that, I threw it in the back of my mind and I ignored it for years. Didn't tell anyone, even when people would kind of highlight odd things about my body or ways that I move, I would just, sweep it under the rug. And it served me a lot for a long time. I think kind of like, even just like growing up as a black person in America, like there are certain strengths and there's certain toughness that you have to generate, I think, just to like survive and operate effectively on a day-to-day basis. But at a certain point, it comes to where like, well, how tough did I get in order to survive, and do I still need to be that tough now? You know what I'm saying? So at a certain point, I kind of came to that where it's like I've like disassociated myself with my body and my experience so much in order to fit in or in order to survive. It's like now I'm having a hard time even just loving me and appreciating me for who I actually am and what's actually going on. So that's long winded. You guys are gonna have to start snatching the microphone from me.
No, we love people who talk. It's great to hear all this, and especially because you're talking about you felt the need to have to hide your disability and kind of do the best you can to prove that you're a normal person, which,
Hmm.
when you're a teenager, it's already hard to do. I mean, any normal teenager already feels like they have a lot of difficulty just fitting in. And then you have this added weight of, I have to show people that I'm physically like everybody else. And I know that had to be very hard. But, by not telling anybody, how were you able to go about your daily life appearing normal, especially when you moved on to swim in college?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. To be honest, it wasn't as hard as you would think. Um, Most people are like really just caught up in their own lives, in their own self every day, you know. And especially with me and kind of what I was dealing with. If I may just, my current coach woman, like she was the first person I ever told. But when she told me, she acknowledged a certain behavior that I did. She was like, I see how when you climb out of the car, you pick your legs up and then you put them out. And after she had told me that, I think it was like maybe a year later or something, she's like, Jamal, ever since I told you that I saw you do that, I never seen you do that again. And so when you ask me about how was I hiding it from people, it was just like if I ever did something that I felt drew attention to me, I would make sure to never do that thing again. And I would just, again, like in some ways, not intentionally, but I would just double down on my compensation patterns. Like I would. That's really it. Like I just this kind of internal mechanism was governing all that. I was like, dang, you're right. I never even thought about that. But I've been training myself all these years. Like if this is gonna make you look weird or weak or shaky, you need to, you got to figure that out, but you got to figure something else out, or be distracting in this way so that it doesn't bring attention to that. And also a lot of it was definitely pride. I mean, I think pride is good in some ways, just in the sense of like, I can, but again, like I said later on, and even still, that pride continues to humble me in so many amazing ways. But even climbing up on a racing block, like if there you've been around, there's some tall blocks that are kind of sketchy for everyone. You know what I'm saying? So people would still ask me like, "Oh, do you need an assist? Like, do you need someone to hold you and keep you up there?" And it's like, I'm sure it will be helpful, but my pride is just like, nah, like I got this. Don't worry. Like if I fall, Lord's will, I'll be all right. But I'm not gonna fall. Don't worry. So a lot of it was pride, and then on the college circuit, so I'm Division 3 for my freshman and junior year. And even with that, like I was still a very developing swimmer. So you gotta understand, like even from freshman to sophomore year, I was only swimming maybe like 6 months out the year, so like preseason and then the season. And then my junior year, I may have swum like 8 months out the year. So I think there was, for one of my coaches, a bit of like, will be like a dedication or like a growth gap. And then number two, just like even with me dealing with my disability, and I say this, just super light, like I'm still a very, very good athlete, So like even me dealing just like most of the athletes on the Paralympic circuit, like they're still better than a whole lot of athletes, right? Just like the Olympics is the 1%. This is literally the 1% still. They're just like dealing with something
Yeah,
different. So,
absolutely.
it was never like it's like most people, right? You're usually doing better than some and worse than others, right? So like where I was in that mix of better than some, worse than others, I think there was also just a level of like, oh, like, but he's good though, like he's not hiding or showing it, like he's not the worst. Yeah, there's some things that I feel like are very strange, but not strange enough for me to like really speak on. And so I was able to just kind of slide through. Actually, the first time I was ever even confronted about it is after I dropped out. I came home to swim with Trojan. So I'm swimming with Dave and I'm swimming with John Erb at Trojan. And John Erb is talking to me on deck and he's like, dude, when you kick your legs, they're so stiff. Like they just don't move at all. You got to stretch more. You got to stretch more. And I was like, I'll try it, but I don't think that's it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It was just a matter of, I just wouldn't let it. I wouldn't let myself show any signs of weakness or what I thought was weakness at the time.
So you grew up in Inglewood, which is
Hmm.
in the south central of Los Angeles, and most people wouldn't think of this as a place where a world ranked swimmer would be born and raised. So, what
Yeah.
attracted you to swim?
um, my mom for sure. She never learned how to swim actually, and I think now it's probably like maybe 5, 6 years ago I taught her how to swim. So that's pretty lit, you know. But yeah, my mom from day one, like she never learned how to swim. And we could talk about that, but pretty much when I was born, she was like, "This kid's gonna know how to swim." So from day one, boom, we're in mommy and me. And I'm a part of the YMCA system pretty much for the first 10 years of my life. Like it was the first sport I ever played, the first recreation, life saving skill, whatever. Like around 6, 7 years old is when I was like, I'm ready to stop playing around. I'm gonna join the swim team, and so anyone who has a kid who has joined the swim team knows that transition, right? It's like you got to go from being a kid, not listening to nobody, to like, all right, listen, if you're gonna join the swim team, you really got to do what these people say. So made that transition, and I think even till today, like I probably have way more medals and trophies from like the ages of 6 to 10. And like these are not participation prizes. Not that that's not valuable. Like I still have way more from the ages of 6 to 10 than I have gathered in the past, 5 or 6 years of this journey to professional. So it was a great time in my life. I loved it, and yeah, that was my foundation. So that's yeah, from day one I was in the water by force, by choice of my mother.
So, speaking of trophies, what would it mean to you personally to bring back a Paralympic medal to show the people in Inglewood?
For sure. You know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. As they say, like wins let you party and the losses make you ponder, right? I've really been thinking a lot lately because we were actually able to have the first competition in like 10 months this past weekend. You know how it goes. It was all right, but it wasn't great. Um, and in my reflection, I asked myself that question again because I love my city. I love Inglewood. Like it's really great to be growing in that community. I personally think like personally where I grew up, like it's way better to be like a local celebrity than an international celebrity. Like you want to have the love and adoration of those that are closest to you, over kind of the love and adoration of people that aren't. So that's definitely an amazing thing that's coming to fruition. But I don't know, like it'll be nice, like it would be dope to bring home a gold medal and to be able to show that off. But for me, swimming is a means to an end. Like I'm using swimming. Obviously, like I work hard at it and I do my best all the time. So like that's if that's in the cards for me, that's in the cards for me. But it's like for me, swimming has been something to impact the lives of my community. Like that's the whole reason why I started my nonprofit. It's because I didn't just want to come home and be like, look, y'all should be happy because of how happy I am because I got a gold medal. Like that's not what I wanted to bring. Like that's not when I come home. Like that's not what I'm bringing home. So, like whether I got gold, silver, bronze, or nothing with me, like I still feel like I have an arm full of opportunity. And at that point, a platform, that's what swimming is for me. It's a way to build a platform, a way to build recognition, a way to build community so that I can impact the type of service and change that I think is really going to continue to elevate the people that I love and care about. So, now again, this is not to say like that medals aren't valuable, but I would just offer to the listeners, like, I've been around a little bit. Like, I've had an opportunity to meet gold medalists and to understand like that they thought that was going, they thought that was it. Like this outcome was supposed to bring so much fulfillment. And honestly, I'm just like happy and blessed to be able to, I forget sometimes, don't get me wrong, but I'm just happy and blessed to be able to feel like it's bigger than that, like I'm trying to touch lives, I'm trying to build some foundational wealth, some generational wealth for my immediate family, and again, just continue to pour that back into this area that raised me, Inglewood, LA, and get some people swimming maybe get some more people, like who knows? Jamal might be a gold medal, might be a silver medal, might be a bronze medal, might be a no medal. It might be Jamal who helped somebody else get that gold, silver, bronze, and no medal. So it's all kind of in the Lord's hands that way. But yeah, that's what it would mean to me. It would be cool, but I'm in it for something what I would feel is much bigger than just trophies.
Yeah, I think that's a very good perspective on it because a lot of people who make it their tunnel vision just to make the Olympic team do feel a little bit lost when that's over. So I'm glad you're already looking ahead to that. And we are going to talk to you about that foundation in just a little bit, but just touch a little bit more on the Paralympics. If you
Yeah,
make the US Paralympic Swimming Team, I believe you would be the first Black swimmer to represent Team USA at the Paralympics.
actually,
I
let
mean, how
me
does
go
it feel to
ahead
be on the cusp of making this major kind
and
of history?
yeah, I gotta correct you here with love and respect. I actually will. I don't think I would be actually. Believe it or not, my uncle. His name is Grover Evans, and he is a U.S. Paralympic swimming legend. Actually, this is my blood uncle.
Oh my
So
gosh! Well, we're bringing
yeah,
it, keeping it in the family.
yeah, keeping it in the family, man. Keep it in the family. It's been like, he's was like out of, in his specific class, at least like over 66, like national, international, like gold medals. So, that's Grover Evans out of Arkansas. He recently passed away, in the 2010s, but, and kind of looking up, this Paralympic history, I found that out, but to make it and just kind of what that, what that would mean, I've been thinking just kind of in a little bit more broad perspective. Like, obviously, I love what it means to like my Black community, but I also been thinking about, just how much it could mean to other communities, like that are really the intersection of Jamal Hill. Like how much that's gonna even mean to like the Charcot-Marie Tooth community specifically. Like a lot of people dealing with that are either wheelchair bound or like they have literal braces around their legs, like prosthetics around their leg to be able to stand and like and to be able to see like, man, I could do this, or what I'm saying, like with enough luck, enough planning, enough hard work, like this is where I could be. Um, it feels good, man. It feels good. Like I love to make history. Obviously, like I want to be a part of something bigger, like most of us, and I hope to inspire the world. And again, like I said, that's what swimming is all about for me. It's a means to an end. It's a means to be able to garner attention, to be on this platform, to where we have the ears of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that are going to be influenced by what we say, or going to be influenced by the direction that we're attempting to lead them. And so that's really what I'm most excited about. I love to race. I love swimming. That's just every day. I love the feel of being on an international scale. I love the pressure of just the pressure of that high level. Really being considered an underdog and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm going a little bit in a circle here, Jeff, Molly. But yeah, that I think that's what it is for me. Like I love it. I love traveling. This is my career. Like I'm very young in my career. I hope to be doing this well through at least through 2028. So we're talking about what would have been like roughly about a decade's career if I started 2 years ago. So just kind of with that marathon mindset, you know, and still being very optimistic. Like this is very young in my career. You know what I'm saying? Like this is only really the start of having a platform and being able to affect change on this scale. And so I think this, like with anything, I try not to let it go to my head. Like I don't just be sitting around thinking like, oh dang, like I got a chance to make history. Like in my mind, I'm like, man, like I wake up every day, I'm making history. Like that's just the nature of it. You don't get to sit around and read your own history book. You got to get out there and you got to get after it, and then eventually, like if the people decide it was good enough, then you get written about. So it just like you got to let the people decide. Things like that. But for me, it's just yeah, we wake up every day trying to make history, man. Like that's like I said, that's just kind of that's the stock that I was brewed from. That's the cloth I was cut from. If it's hard, then do it hard. You feel me? Like if you're not that good at it, practice. You'll at least be a little bit better. And if that's not good enough for you, then you got to take a step back and really ask why. Because in this world, all we can ever give is our best. And that's a lesson that I'm learning every single day. It's just I can only ever give my best, and much like the name of the show, it's about the journey, you know. And every day I pray that I continue to be humbled and to be able to be in the moment of the journey. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody's going to get that experience. Not everybody's going to get that opportunity. There's only ever going to be one first place. There's only ever going to be one second place. There's only ever going to be one 24th place, you know? So the point of being like, there's only ever going to be one experience that I, as Jamal Hill, am going to have, you know? So I want to just make sure to be as present and in a place of not stress or worry or trying to meet expectations, that I can just enjoy it, you know, and just really like embellish the love and the gratitude, because that's when I'm at my best, you know. Like I'm at my best. My coach says, like when I walk in and I'm playing mayor and I'm saying what's up and I'm shaking hands and I'm kissing babies, like that's when I'm at my best. That's my killer instinct mode, you know, as some people will put it. It's not like when I'm drawn off and I'm quiet, like I'm not at my best. I'm in my own head. I'm letting the pressures and all these things that are kind of like self-inflicted get to me, you know. So I think that's it. That's it for me. It's just about being present in the moment, making friends, being nice, shaking hands, you know, wishing people a good job, and then and using that energy to just have a good time, man, and just do what I love. So that's it. You know, on the Paralympic note, it's just for me, it's about doing what I love and having an opportunity. 4 years ago, this whole thing was crazy talk. Okay, I was an unranked, unknown swimmer coming out of Northeast Ohio. You know what I'm saying? Talking about I'm going to USC Trojans to learn how to be a pro swimmer, and I'm gonna make it to Olympic stage. I'm gonna make it whatever stage. You know, it's a complete long shot. Like if you had been anyone other than me or my mother and father, well, obviously God had to whisper in their ears too for them to even go for this craziness. You know, it's like you wouldn't believe it. You would think I was like, oh, this kid is cute. Like, don't waste your time, kid. You know, so it's just the magic of believing, the magic of hard work, the magic of having faith in what you're doing. So it's like, you know, I already won. You know, where everything goes on the resume, but it's like every day I already won. Every day I already made history. Every day we're already doing things and helping people in ways that have never been done and helped before. And guess what? We're helping and doing things in ways that have been helped and done before, because, you know, we're not just these know-it-all geniuses who think that we're better than anyone. It's like, no, we're just trying to affect change in Inglewood, in LA, in the state of California, you know, in Nevada, in Atlanta, and you know what I'm saying, Indonesia, don't really matter. There we go. I'll stop there.
So I want to talk about your foundation a little bit. I really like the Swim Uphill Foundation that you created to teach people to how to swim. And it's a lofty
Yeah,
goal that you have 1 million new followers. And how are you going
yeah.
about this, especially during this crazy time in the pandemic?
That's a great question. So I have to say this. I've been on my staff about this. So we are not technically a foundation. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, but it's going to be the Swim Uphill organization only, just because for anyone blossoming entrepreneurs or nonprofit leaders, a foundation is an organization that gives away money. What we do is we provide services. We provide services, you know. So like USA Swimming Foundation literally sponsors programs all over the world. So that's going to be the nature of a foundation. And that's something that I had to learn, you know, through my college this semester. So I just wanted to touch on that for my own sake. But yeah, so we got this goal to teach 1 million people how to swim. That pretty much came about 2018, like I told you, when I first made my Paralympic team, you know, like national Paralympic team. I wanted it to be about more than just medals and gold, you know. So how can we help people? I had a background in entrepreneurship, a background in marketing at that point. I'm like, we'll teach 1 million people. That should get some headlines. And so that was kind of how it started. Not as a joke, but just like as a strong marketing push, you know. And then the more we got into it, the more we realized, like, oh man, like 250,000 to 1 million people are drowning all over the world every single year. Like this 1 million people number is like right on spot, actually. So we need to really, take this serious. We need to be honed in on that. And this COVID-19 season, fortunately, as they say, when the tide came in, we didn't get caught with our shorts down. Like in some ways, just the program that we had developed was prepared to be able to continue to touch lives during this time. So, pretty much around the world, here in the United States, around the world, doesn't matter whether you're black or white. Like, it's poor people, low to middle income communities that drown. And most often that's going to happen because they don't have access to water features. And then they find themselves out of water feature on some hot day and an accident happens. And water features, just for first world purposes could mean a pool. So we were just faced with this challenge of like, okay, number one, most of these people around the world don't have pools, so they can't even really consistently learn and gain those skills, according to traditional train of thought. And then number two, here in America and also around the world, a lot of people who are older that don't know how to swim, so like ages 25 and up, which is like one of the second largest drowning rate ranges, um, they have a fear of water for whatever reason. Like they just have some fear of water. Maybe they had a near drowning experience, or it was just a learned fear from a parent or something like that. So how do we combat these two things? And what we found is, through R&D over the past 2 years, we started to teach people how to swim, within a 5-hour curriculum base, whether they were 4 years old or 7 years old. And for the first 2 to 3 hours, we never put people in a swimming pool. We had them on the land. We had a big old clear, like Pyrex bowl of water. We had a couple of buckets of water, and we had a bench. And so we were teaching them breathing techniques, like air goes in the mouth, out the nose, something so basic. But again, this is no shade to LA County, but I was the LA County lifeguard instructor, what I'm saying, whatever, for almost 8 years, so like I have a lot of experience just in swim lessons and what is general practice in the industry, so just teaching a lot of these basic skills that could just be taught again, like outside of the water in people's comfort. And so early on in the year, we had plans to start rolling out trainings. And we had a partnership lined up with the Boys and Girls Club. COVID happened. My team comes to me and they're like, hey, like, is there any way that we can take this 5-hour course curriculum and adapt it to the online space? And I think this is a great learning moment. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a bowl bench bucket. Like people could do that at home, I guess. I'm like, this is a dumb idea. Like, this is a dumb idea. Like, nobody's about to do this, guys. Like, this is just stupid. But let this be a lesson to anyone. If you got a coach, if you got a team, you should only have them because you trust them. And so, like, even though I thought it was a dumb idea, I was like, you guys seem pretty adamant about it. Sure, we'll do it. We'll try it. So happy to have eaten my words. Amazing idea. Received amazingly well. So in the first month, we just launched independent across 2 weekends, had over 100 families across inner city Los Angeles and even across Texas join us, and so it was an hour class. I learned like the bowl, bench, bucket, how to breathe, theory of, pretty much a basic elementary breaststroke moving forward. And then the program got inducted into Airbnb, got picked up by Airbnb. So then since June, I think we've helped about another like 150 to 200 families from all over the globe, from like the Polynesian Islands to South Korea, Washington, D.C., Australia, Taiwan, pretty much all over the world. And what's so interesting is like as these people all over the world were coming on, they were all literally having the same problem, right? Like either they didn't know how to swim or their kid didn't know how to swim. And it was a danger, but they also didn't have any pool, or like their home country didn't allow people to go swim in natural bodies of water because it was that element of like, if you don't touch it, then you can't drown, right? Like not like if you learn, then you'll be safe, but like as long as you stay away from it, then you should be okay, which obviously is not working because there are still, like I said, 250,000 to 1 million people going down every single year, accidentally, unnecessarily. So,
So how do
yeah.
you get the people who have that little pushback of like, yeah, I understand I need to swim, but yeah, we're fine. We live in a landlocked state, or I'll just make sure my kid doesn't go near the water.
Yeah, for sure. So I think one of the big ways that we've been able to do that is like, bear with me here, through celebrity, like
Mm.
like through celebrity and through really building a platform that people trust. And I think that's kind of the only way to do it. Like I still meet people that like are just not interested. Like Jamal, like I really don't care. I see everything that you do. I see who's done this, how you've reached, who you've taught. Like I really don't care. So number one is I think just having a platform of trust, having like strong testimonials, having people from all over the spectrum, having somebody that has a similar story to whoever it is that you're talking to. That's going to make them that much more open. But on a finer level, like we use techniques that are similar to those to treat people with post-traumatic stress disorder, and we just kind of apply that to the aquatic space. And so this usually only affects like people 18 and over. These are usually only the people that like need this kind of extra element to overcome those fears. But yeah, it pretty much just like self-soothing techniques. So like trying to get people comfortable in the sense of like touching their body, like caressing, stroking, re-experiencing kind of what happened or what the trigger was for them, and then just working that trigger down from an impact level of 10, which would be the highest, all the way down to something underneath, from a 0 to a 2. And it's not like that. It's just some great secret that I can't talk about, but it kind of gets into finer details. So I don't know if you guys really want to go there, but it is very similar to techniques that clinicians use to treat post-traumatic stress disorder, which is, in a lot of ways, what these individuals are experiencing on some level.
So, besides working with your organization, what are some other activities that you have enjoyed, especially during quarantine in 2020?
Um, I'm a bit of a workaholic. But no,
That's
seriously.
quite obvious the way you're talking. I can tell.
Right. Yeah, I'm a bit of a workaholic. I really like. But that said, let's see. Camping. Camping. I enjoy camping. I haven't been going crazy again. Just trying to be mindful of, maybe not my own thoughts, but definitely of like the greater good. So not doing too much traveling or running around. But camping is a good one. I personally, I'm not what you would call a camper, but like my adopted family, like so my coach and her family and stuff, they are campers. They're real good campers. So I go with them and it's all taken care of, and I just have to be there and be a presence, which is one of my strong suits. So camping is a big one for me. Let's see what else. I mean, like I go out here and there, like I'll see friends that live in the city that live local. Like I'll spend time like with my family, with my loved ones. Uh, I'm a pretty like private person though, so like if anyone follows me on socials or the internet, like they usually probably don't see my family and stuff like that just because that's mine, like that's mine, that's my business. Unless that my family starts building their own brand, like I doubt that they will ever cross pollinate. I do like to try and keep some things private, but yeah, guilty as charged. Like honestly, I'm a bit of a workaholic. Like, and I love it though. Like I love swimming, and I love this work that our organization is doing. I love challenges. I love the people that I've gotten involved and that have invested in this mission with me. So I have a bad habit of taking things to the next level.
Well, that can't be a bad thing, especially now when you're trying to grow this organization. And I'm sure that once you are, I don't want to say put aside, but once you're done with your swimming career, I know it's going to be full tilt, and
Yeah.
I think it's going to turn out really well. So,
Oh, real
me,
quick,
and
sorry.
it's going to be great.
I'll make that real quick. Sorry, this is a big one. I love reading. That's a really big thing. That's a good one. That is like I can do it anytime, anywhere.
Right.
Love reading. Love reading. I think this year actually, my goal was to read 52 books this year, and I think I'm in the 40s. I got to go through and check back through. So I may not hit the 52 in the next like 3 weeks, but
One book a week.
yeah, that was my goal to hit one book a week.
Wow,
So
that's a
I
lot.
love reading, love learning, and really love applying, which is probably why I'm a workaholic. Cause like I'll go read and then I'll be like, I got to do all of it. Like, you know, so that's it. That's a good one though. I
Yeah.
really enjoy that.
Yeah, well, it's a blessing and a curse. Don't run yourself into the ground. You're only in your mid-20s. I don't want to hear about being burned out in your 30s.
Amen to that. You know what? If I was burned out, but the organization was running, and like, you know, I'm starting a family, you know, just maybe not burned out, but just one of my mentors. You guys probably know him, Rob Sleemaker. He's the
Yes.
yeah. So he's one of my mentors. We've been building a good relationship. But on our weekly call, he was telling me about like transitions in life as a metaphor of a trapeze bar. You know, like, yeah, I don't know if people know trapeze bar, like in the circus, like people swing and then they catch another bar and then they go. And it's like these two bars are going, right? And
Yeah.
at some point you have to completely let go of the bar you're on to catch the one that's coming toward you. But like obviously the timing has to be right, right? You guys both got to meet at the closest point, and then once you let go, if you're not completely focused on that next bar, you're gonna miss it. And that's gonna be all she wrote, you know. So when I think about transitions, when I think about like my get out plan, you know, as executive director for the nonprofit, which, you know, I'll be away from the nonprofit as an executive within the next 5 years. You know, when I think about my transition plan away from pro swimming, like I'll probably be out of pro swimming in the next, you know, 8 to 10 years. I just think about like, you know, it's just gonna be me transition to a new trapeze bar. You know, hopefully like my workaholism will dial down a little bit, and I could really be taking a lot of joy and pride in, and maybe some little ones, you know, like some little ones, a wife, you know, a home, you know, hopefully my parents are still around, they could see some grandbabies, you know, and that's it, just kind of enjoying the simple stuff, you know. So
That sounds great. You definitely want to do that. Enjoy life while you're working
amen to
hard. You
that.
have to do that. You have to do
Amen
that.
to that.
All right, Jamal, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your life and what you're doing now and the plans going forward. We're very excited to see how this all moves forward, especially with making the Paralympic team next year. Very good luck with that, and best of luck with the Swim Uphill organization. We are
I
very excited to
appreciate
see
it.
how that progresses
I
as well. So,
appreciate it.
thank you very much for your time today.
Hold on 1 second before you
What's
let
up?
it go. I gotta put y'all
Yeah.
on the spot. Some uphill organization. What we got to get a verbal commitment, okay? Just so you know, $5 is gonna sponsor one kid just to take an introductory swim class lesson. It only takes $5 to sponsor one kid so they can start their learn to swim journey. They'll already be like half of the way there. Okay, I got the journey on here. We're live. Well, what are we gonna put up? Come on, you guys gotta tell me something on camera. What are we doing? What are we doing for the community here?
Oh, Mala, we're put on the spot.
You're on the spot. You're on the spot. Come on, come
Oh,
on.
the
You
journey
can
could put up. We could commit right now to
right
$50
now.
for swim uphill.
$50.
We're
There
gonna
we
get
go. I'll
10
take
kids,
that.
and we're gonna get 10 kids to swim.
There we go. That's what I love. The journey. The journey. Stepping up to the plate and touching. I love it. Thank you guys so much. All right. That pleasure.
Absolutely.
Go to swimuphill.org. Okay.
All right.
Swimuphill.com is going to be Jamal Hill personal brand. You'll be able to find the nonprofit through there, but go directly to swimuphill.org. You'll find out about all our amazing programs, our Teach Your Million to Swim program, our Victor's Protein program, how you can donate, how you can volunteer, how you can work with us in a virtual space or a live event. It'll all be there. The .org website is coming up. I'm so excited it'll finally be fully developed this week. So go to swimuphill.org and be a hero. Save a life.
All right. That sounds great. And for all of you, please donate. It helps get. We got to get some kids to get in the
Amen to
water.
that. Amen
So
to
as you
that.
can tell, just as we always say, it's not just about the destination. It's about the journey. And we'll see you next time.
Amen to that.